What's the funniest thing that you've ever seen a drill sergeant do in basic training? We were 3 weeks into basic when this one kid in our platoon, everyone called him Peanut because he was about 5 feet tall and had a voice that cracked like glass, accidentally dropped his rifle during weapons maintenance. It clattered loud across the bay floor, and before the echo had even died, Drill Sergeant Moreno stormed in like the wrath of God himself. Moreno was one of those guys who could make a grown man cry just by raising an eyebrow. He was carved from pure intensity and caffeine. The second he saw the rifle on the ground, he screamed loud enough to shake the bunks. Peanut stood there frozen like a deer in headlights, clutching a cleaning rod in his hand like it might save him. Drill Sergeant Moreno marched over, picked up the rifle with exaggerated slowness, and looked at it like it had personally insulted his mother. Then, without saying a word, he turned to Peanut and said, "Congratulations, Private. You just gave birth to this weapon. You are now its mother." What followed was an entire day of Peanut cradling that rifle like a baby. Moreno made him swaddle it in a torn green poncho liner, rock it back and forth, and sing lullabies to it during chow. Every time someone walked past, Moreno made Peanut introduce them to his baby. "She's very sensitive to noise," he'd say, deadpan. "Don't startle her." During PT, Moreno tied the rifle to a mop handle with bootlaces and made Peanut walk his baby around the track. The rest of us were doubled over from laughter, trying not to get smoked for enjoying the show too much. Even the other drill sergeants peeked out from the CQ office and smirked behind their coffee cups. At mail call that evening, Moreno stood at the front of the bay and called out names like usual. When he got to Peanut, he pulled out a small envelope and read from a scrap of paper inside. "To my dearest mother," he began. "I love you very much and appreciate all your cuddles today. Thank you for not dropping me again. Love, your rifle." It was a letter Moreno had written himself, signed in crayon with a tiny smiley face. That night, Peanut actually tucked the rifle into bed with him. Moreno walked by, nodded, and whispered, "Good mom." After lights out, we were all lying there trying not to laugh. Peanut, in the darkness, just muttered, "I hate all of you." Next day, the joke was over, and we were back to getting smoked for everything from breathing wrong to forgetting a left face. But from then on, Peanut never mishandled his weapon again. Second funniest moment came during grenade training. Drill Sergeant Vega was giving the usual safety brief when a bee flew into the demo pit. Everyone ducked and flinched, but Vega just stood still. Then he shouted, "Private Smith, kill it with violence," and pointed dramatically at the bee like he was ordering a fire mission. Smith, bless his over-enthusiastic soul, launched his Kevlar off his head like a discus and nailed the bee mid-air. Problem was, his helmet kept flying and clocked another private square in the nose. Blood everywhere. Vega stood in stunned silence for a second before bursting into laughter. Full-on belly laugh, hands on knees, couldn't breathe. Then he regained composure and said, "That's the most motivated insecticide I've ever seen." Smith got smoked until the sun set, but he also got Vega's respect. That helmet toss is still legendary.